Good evening, and welcome to another segment of the New Black Leadership Coalition here live in the great studios of Intellectual Radio. My name is Gregory Singh, the host, co-host, and one of the co-founders of the New Black Leadership Coalition. And I am very, very thankful, very honored, and blessed by the best to have such a golden opportunity once again to come to you all live over these precious airwaves that we as a coalition take very, very serious, because as we disseminate information and as we disseminate knowledge, as we disseminate warnings, or we disseminate any kind of communication, we are hoping that this will inspire, motivate. It would do what it takes to bring us all on one accord. Our goals and objectives are very clear and really basic to moving the dot, or moving the barometer, or the moving us as Black people to a better position in life. We are not on here for vain reasons. We're not on here to be seen of men or women. We're not on here because we are bored and don't have nothing else to do. We're not on here for that reason. There are a lot of other things that we could be doing in the comfort of our homes, or just sitting idle, as so many of our people are doing, unfortunately. So I'm glad to be back, Brother Earl. I was gone for a couple of weeks, had a birthday, and it really don't seem like it was, a 60th birthday. I honestly, I don't know what that's supposed to feel like. And so at the celebration, I gave credit to God, but I thanked him for the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad through one of his greatest students, who inspired me, Mike, and so many others, the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan. And I learned of how to eat to live, part one and part two. And so when people, they ask the question, what do? Look, that book is guidance, and you could take things to another level, but you could start there if you're really serious, because in that book is a roadmap to better health. So, I have to give credit where credit. I thank my mom and my father and my granny. I thank our ancestors for, the hereditary piece. I thank them, but I thank people who have inspired us to do things that are healthy when it comes to lifestyle. And that's going to connect with some of the things I have to say. I'm here with the founder of the New Black Leadership. Always honored to see my brother, Minister Michael Muhammad, the founder and the co-host who's been holding it down. I had an opportunity to tune in and was educated, informed. You could never have enough of information. And once you think you are the man and you got it all, you're absolutely a nutcase. And that's why Minister Mike invite various coalition members on this show, various other community activists, organizers to come on, and have invited all of them who claim to be that to the first quarterly roundtable we had, and the second one, and as we have another one that's going to be coming up shortly, a third one. Minister Mike will talk about that. But I'm glad to be back, Minister Mike. Is such an honor, man. And I just want to say out the gates, while this is on my mind, this commentary, and it will connect to a reality check that I think all of us, and there's some brothers, I want you all to call in. It's something that they have on their mind that they wanted to share with the audience from Ohio. We got some people from the down south and others that are tuned in tonight. Thanks to our sister Janice Paz. But there are a lot of deep things going on. Haven't had a chance to talk about over the air about the transition and the passing. I know Mike has, and I heard Brother Harold Davis talk about our beloved, we're gonna call him Bob, a big brother, attorney Lewis Myers Jr. And then another Louis Farrakhan Jr., another marvelous, beautiful spirit brother. Amen. Ain't nobody like neither one of them. And then, sister, today they had her memorial service, Desiree Tate, a very active sister in the community. What is that saying? What is it just happening? But Mike, and I know you, if you have to dig deep in this conversation with your research that you do, I'm going to need your help on this piece. See, most of them, their death was around the heart. The heart. Every one of them, heart condition. But I want to talk about the condition of our hearts. And I'm not talking about just the cholesterol piece. I'm talking about the spirit and the poison and that evil mentality that we have amongst each other and ourselves, where we won't settle our differences. And when you look at life in just the blink of an eye, you could be off scene. And that's why it don't make no sense to be a damn coward, because we all gotta leave this place. And no matter how many people was at Desiree Tate homecoming or memorial service, no matter how many people will be there Saturday at Brother Lou's, or how many people will be at the janazah for Brother Lou, Farrakhan, it will not bring them back. We hope and we pray that God will be pleased with all of them, but in the twinkling of an eye, we could be off the scenes, and we don't know who the hell gonna be speaking at our funeral or memorial service or janazah. We don't have not a clue. But then the part that I want to really connect is why Minister Mike and Sister Kim and Dr. Kelly and them decided to give birth back to the new black leadership that had fallen off the map for a minute, but was still there in our hearts. But Minister Mike decided, after meeting with them and others, to bring it back, to give it birth again. But the work, bro, that's involved, we're trying to work with Negroes that don't believe in unity, talk all that talk, won't finance our own struggle. Look at all of the stuff that's going on around us and still won't organize, and it's still envy and jealousy. But yet we see death and we all want to run. And some people show up at those memorial services just to see who else is in the room. I mean, it's a shame, man, that we have such a narcissistic type of spirit and mentality, man. But the conditioning of the heart, Mike, and I know you as a minister, you remember where that was going, but I would like to hear you elaborate on that. But I wanted our people to know that we are in deep pain and sorrow and really shock that we have lost three very powerful people, and you will see at these three different memorial service, janaza, funeral, homecoming, some of the same people. Some of the same people that was at Desiree Tate a memorial service today will be there Saturday and tomorrow. But will you be at the little man's janaza? Will you be at the little woman's or the so-called little people's? Will you be there for them? See, that's how disconnected we are. So you hobnob even at those deep and spiritual transitions. But anyway, that's my commentary, and that is the condition of the heart. So anyway, Minister Mike, I know I came right out the gates. I ain't being in the minute. Like, what the hell? I said that about death because the way you roll, man, on the west side, on the south side, and meeting with leaders and etc. Man, sometimes, you know, people wonder, are you ever afraid of the type of moves that you make, trying to organize us and really sacrificing a lot not to be caught up in corporate America? Just go get a job and you just let everybody be and close your door and get a paycheck to come to your bank account and don't even be involved in this, man.
Well, first of all, welcome back. And
man,
it's a great way to return. But to your point, there's a place in the Bible that says these people praise me or profess me out of their mouths, but their hearts are far removed from me. So God, he's not fooled by our lip profession. And so many of us claim that we are fighting on principle. Many of us claim to be followers of Marcus Garvey or followers of Noble Drew Ali or followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or Minister Farrakhan or whoever.
Dr. King,
whoever. But the thing that validates us, certifies us as their followers is, do we advance their example? And our greatest leaders were lovers of people, and they laid down their lives for us. And they fought against their own egos to call to others and to call to us in the rank and file to unify, to come together. And so, which is a very difficult thing that we underestimate. And we underestimate it because we have never really been thoroughly studied or exposed to the depth of the psychic trauma that was imposed upon us when we came here and continues to be imposed upon us as a people in terms of our almost natural ability to dislike one another.
Oh boy.
Our incessant, we have a ceaseless need to compete with one another. We have an endless we have a bottomless pit almost of a need to be not just the center of attention, but the only center of attention. And so we need to feel as though I'm the only one in the spotlight. And so if you get the spotlight, if you are on the stage more than me, then I'm going to start to feel like I got to show that I should be on the stage. And you need to sit down. You need to move over. And it starts to make me feel uncomfortable. If you start getting too much attention, then I start to feel uncomfortable about myself. And the way I express that usually is to try to undermine you. I go out of my way to do little things to sabotage how people feel about you. So it makes it very difficult when you are working or trying to serve Almighty God and his people, and the plan and purpose for his people involves us coming together, but yet he has permitted us to suffer a tremendous conditioning that makes us hate ourselves. And it's very hard to work with people who would rather frown. We would rather frown at each other than smile at each other. We would rather smack and punch each other than to hug each other or console each other. We would rather hurt each other than to help each other. Wow. We would, you know what I'm saying? Wow. We would rather rob each other than to be righteous toward one another. So when you look at that condition, it's very difficult, to say the least, to work on the behalf of Black people and not have your heart broke every day. So when you look at the Lou Myers, our brother, when you look at our brother Lewis Jr., talking about two, I didn't know the sister well at all, but I did know the two brothers. So you're talking about people who in their heart of hearts were beautiful people who never came with a closed hand or a closed heart. They always came with an open hand and an open heart toward everybody they interacted with. Man. So when you come like that with a people who the scripture calls hard-hearted, stiff-necked and rebellious, then you can't avoid being disappointed. You can't avoid being betrayed. You can't avoid being insulted. You can't avoid being let down. And usually by the people who yell the loudest that they believe in the same thing that you believe in. Those are usually the first ones, or the ones who let you down more than the ones who never claimed to believe in the upliftment of Black people. And so when you talk about the heart, Greg, wow, it's said that Prophet Muhammad of 1400 years ago, peace be upon him, died of a broken heart. And when you look at the narrative of Jesus in the New Testament, Jesus went into the Garden of Gethsemane, and he was a man praying with a broken heart. He was sorrowful. He was in deep pain over the people, so much so that he prayed until blood came from his brow. That's how sad and hurt he was over the condition of God's people. So
teaching, boy.
We kill our prophets by the way we rebel against what they bring us. We starve them. I mean, when you look at another Lou Palmer. Wow. A man who I would say died of a broken heart. Yes. Because he was betrayed by people in leadership, and he was betrayed by not really the small man, but mainly people in leadership. And some of those same leaders, one I can think of in particular, is still running around Chicago, stabbing other leaders in the back, betraying community for his own machinations and his own need to control other organizations and other groups and other people. So what I'm saying, I know we got a call, is that when you talk about the heart, brother, that is so profound, because when I talk to many of the members of the New Black Leadership Coalition one-on-one, a large percentage of them confide in me that they have a great sense of brokenheartedness over the struggle of trying to organize our people. They get depressed, they get sad, they get what we call in the counseling world, it's called compassion fatigue. You give so much of yourself trying to heal people, but who's pouring back into you? And so this is the trial of leadership, especially Black leadership.
We're gonna take the call and go ahead, hit that button. Hello, caller, how you doing?
Peace, my brother, and how are you all up there in Chicago land? This is brother Amir High College Samar calling from Cleveland, and we just want to offer our deepest condolences, man, and prayers to the brothers and sisters in Chicago, the loss of our giant, because we felt his loss here in Cleveland. We worked with him quite a bit over the last, 35 years, as a matter of fact. So, I told Janice Pass and the brothers and sisters up there, we would definitely call in and share some thoughts and let you all know that, the pain is being felt throughout the country.
Man, we love you for that, brother. And you have a clear, listening to you, you can feel it. You can tell that you had a relationship with him. And you can feel the sincerity and hear it in your voice. And I know people all over the country and here in the city, they appreciate those beautiful words, man, for such a beautiful individual. And we love you, brother. We know, like Janice Pass and many others, man, they out here fighting the good fight, man, and not giving up. And recognizing people like Brother Lou Myers, man. So we agree with you wholeheartedly as it relates to the divine work that brother made and did, the sacrifices that he gave, and to so many people who didn't have the money. That man could have been a multi-millionaire, and he worked sometimes for free, just to back and defend the poor and fight for justice, man.
No doubt, brother. I know as an undergrad student in Alabama, we became aware of the great work that he was doing to file that lawsuit against, South Africa, Mississippi, in regards to the injustice that they were involved in funding for the HBCUs. And we got involved in that as young undergrad students, and they kept following him. And we got more involved with some of his work when we got involved with the groups that were dealing with the police repression in Chicago and the gang called the Chicago PD, and working with the street organizations and Reverend Wright and Earl King and all that. We even got closer with him because we saw the commitment, man. He didn't just talk about it. He walked it, he walked it like he talked it. And he's going to be surely missed. And I hope and pray that that baton that gets handed off to these up and coming attorneys will, fight for justice and for human rights, and to, deal with these inequalities and this racism and oppression in our country the same way that our brother Myers did.
Oh, yes, sir. Well, thank you, brother. Love you, man. And keep up the good work, man, in Cleveland, man. And nothing but respect and honor for what you do.
I love you, brother, and stay strong.
All right. Thank you.
Peace.
Yeah, man. Once again, what you said, Mike, connects exactly to the scriptures in terms of when people make sacrifices, materialistically, or with all the other stuff that comes with just sitting back, not really being involved. You take a hit. Because if if you go out there, you always threaten about what somebody gonna take from you. But going back to this whole piece, the counseling piece that you just mentioned, when I was driving here, and I realized, and I guess I'll share it because it was on my mind. And when I was driving, I said, I feel depressed, but I've been doing things to kind of deal with it, because, sometimes people drink a glass of wine, they'll drink alcohol, they'll have sex, or they'll stay into some conflict, or they'll sleep all day, they'll eat all day. You know, all of the different things that people do to try to numb themselves and run away from facing whatever it is that depresses them. But I was depressed, and you know how we hear about these things when it comes to Lou, but it's not just Brother Lou Myers or Lou, our dear beloved Louis Jr. Farrakhan, or Desiree, or any other person. It's the weight of the world that's on us, because we not the type, no matter what we do, that we can just ignore it, because God didn't make us that way, man. I mean, it's a lot that comes with that when a lot of things bother you as it relates to our people suffering out here. And that's why, when you claim to be a leader and you won't come into the room with thought leaders, or come into the room with people that really want to see a systemic change, bottom up, want to see it, and you stay over in your corner, I don't really believe you want progress. I believe you're a hustler. I believe you're a con man or a con woman. I believe you think more of yourself than you should. And that's why you ain't connected to the body, because you out there soloing really for vain and egotistical reasons.
I agree. I think that there are people who speak for us, and people who claim a leadership role, who don't feel what you're talking about. They don't feel depression. They don't feel overwhelmed. They don't feel a deep sense of sadness, because they're getting out of their positioning what they're after. And so
sad.
They are operating from a different motivation. You see, if you study the lives of the prophets, many of the major prophets, if you study their narrative carefully, you will see that they retreated frequently into isolation.
Wow.
Which is the behavior of a sad and depressed person. Introverts have a certain melancholiness about them. And so when they are in crowds, or they are in social settings for too long, they start to feel uncomfortable. They feel more comfortable in isolation. And if you impose public socialization on them, it can trigger depression. If you look at many of our great thinkers, many of our what we call griots, many of our gurus, many of our champions, they had to have long periods of silence. And that is how they balanced the emotional load of trying to offer cogent, competent, spiritual or God-inspired leadership to the people. But everybody doesn't have that burden. Some people are fired up by always being in the center of attention, because that's what they're after. They're not after the upliftment of people that can't help themselves. They will see the children, but they don't necessarily feel the pain of the children. And if they feel the pain of the children for a second, once they get a contract or a job or a deal, some of that pain starts to go away, and they don't really, it doesn't really overwhelm. They don't get the emotion doesn't run as deep as their satisfaction for material reward. So we have a lot of people in front of us who, as long as they get a check, as long as they get material rewards from this society, they all right. You know what I mean? And they may be internally conflicted from time to time, but they assuage that, as you said, with some other device, whether that's alcohol or narcotics or sex or traveling or whatever it is, buying clothes or whatever it is. So we need to understand that.
Good teaching, man.
That when you study the purest of our leaders, for lack of a better word, those that sacrificed everything to champion the cause of black people, that where they were uncompromising. Those men, when you look at A. Philip Randolph and what he went through, you'll see the burden that was on that man. When you look at Ida B. Wells,
wow,
or Sojourner Truth, if you study their narrative, see, this is why you can't be in front of black people if you haven't, you really need to hook up with a Dr. Lance Williams or a Dr. Kim Delaney or a Dr. Kelly Harris. You need to hook up with somebody who can expose you to the narratives of real black people who fought for us, so you can understand what comes with stepping out front. See, because what comes with this, if you are not careful, you will be like our brother who went out on the Buckingham Fountain and made a fool out of himself because he became overwhelmed with trying to perpetrate a fraud or trying to become something that he really wanted to make of himself, but God may not have called him to be what he wanted to make of himself, or he went about it in a way that did not prepare him for what this came with. And so, see, most of us are not going to fight if we can't eat. If you have to miss a meal, you're going to leave black people suffering. If you got to give up your car or your house, you're going to leave black people suffering. If you can't cash every check or sign every contract that you feel like you deserve or you need, you're not gonna fight for black people. If they threaten your position or your status or your job or whatever it is, if you got to go in a room with white people and speak your mind, most of us not cut from that cloth. Most of us not going to get on a show like this every week, Greg, and then have to go work in a major corporation and deal with people from outside of our community and have to look them in the face, and they may be tuned in to you every week listening to you talk about issues. Now you got to look them in the face, and so they're going to test you, they're going to try you, or they might just totally come at you. So most of us, we are politically correct. We only as black as is politically acceptable.
Wow. Mike, that's so profound. And it connects with when you mentioned depression yesterday. Bro, this is Earl, you you got to hear this. So I went over to the Brew Fest. Black people everywhere. Went over there and was hugging some people. This is a true story. I had a cigar. I was embracing people. People were, hey, Gregory saying, blah, blah, blah. What up? All of that. Women everywhere. Brothers. Man, I stayed there 30 minutes. Could not find the street fast enough. Went down that street, got in my car, went back home, didn't watch the basketball game. I turned on The Godfather. I watched The Godfather. I asked somebody today what the score of the game was. I didn't want to see basketball. I watched The Godfather. That was the only, why was that therapy for me? I mean, you know, I don't know, bro, but it was a strange feeling that I left there depressed when I saw all of those black people. And, you know, it's like, see how we could come together? We ain't together. We just standing on the street. Yeah, there was no fights. Yeah, there were probably no arguments. But for what reason? No advancement at all. Thousands of black people like the house picnic. And Negroes leave the same way we came, divided into the next fest. It's good to see our people, to embrace them. I love it. But going back to how you broke that down, introverts. You know, some people look at me and they say, Gregory, they'll see me on the stage at a graduation speaker. They see me up here. Man, I can't wait to get away from you Negroes. I love you, but I have to find refuge because I feel the pain and suffering of black people. Damn it, I didn't join. I don't care who watching. From wherever I work, damn it, you know who I am. And I ain't against nobody, but I am for liberation of black people. And so you can't take a damn thing from me. Zero. And God got my back. So that's why I ain't scared. Hell, I could be like many of you fakes. Just get a check and go to sleep. Why do I talk like this? Because I was guided this way by God. And trust me, ain't no pay coming into a studio. It's a bunch of Negroes that y'all listen to every day on GCI and V103, etc. And they make millions off of you, and they ain't giving you a damn thing but a joke here and there and a song here and there. And you leave empty after you listen to the stupid Strawberry Letter. Get nothing from them. But that's who you tuned in because you mentally and spiritually and psychologically dead, and you go after. I mean, oh my God.
Well, we've been made that way by our captors, and we have been socialized since 1555. We've been in a process, a continuous cycle of socialization to dumb us down and to put us under such psychic pressure and trauma that unconsciously we're always looking for relief. And when you're not aware of the depth of how you're being oppressed, when you're not aware of the subliminal manipulations that people of power use in society to control you and to keep you docile and passive politically, socially, and economically, then you will always be comfortable in a party environment over a struggle environment. And so that's why most sociologists report that there was no more than 8 to 10% of black people in any given wave of movement that actually participated in any one of our movements. So most of us have been so destroyed internally and consciously that we sit on the sidelines, and the only way to move us is with song, dance, or jokes or money. And so, but society is structured in a way that for the most part, you don't get money unless you assimilate. you for the most part, you have to pass a white litmus test. That's why they keep talking about why aren't there more blacks on the police department? That's stupid. Because the test is designed to filter out black people. It's not that black people can't pass the test. It's just that the test is designed for your standard Irish white male. It's not designed. And so if you don't have the mind of a white male, if you don't have this, if you don't respond to the same social cues, you're not going to pass the test. When you get your college degree, you have to pass rote tests about white thinking, white culture. When you get your master's degree or your doctorate degree, or you get whatever certification or your type 75, whatever you go and get, all of that is based upon a Eurocentric mindset. And you have to learn to think like white people in order to be credentialed. So now when you live your life, you miss all of the cues that are designed to put you to sleep and keep you asleep. You avoid the struggle of being a conscious black person. So stepping and house parties and boat trips and white parties and all that, that's what it's all about, so that's the majority of us. So when you have a minority of people who are conscious and trying to push the needle or move the dial on our behalf, then that small group or cadre of people, they're going to be carrying the burden for the 95% of us. So they can't help but get burnout. They can't help but feel overwhelmed. They can't help but get depressed unless they tap back into the spirit of Almighty God. If they don't know how to be quiet and shut their mouth and go back and restore themselves and pray and fast and meditate and reorient their mind in the history of our struggle and our pain and our suffering and get another charge, then yes, they'll die of a broken heart. And their heart, and no matter how long you live, when you fighting for our people, your heart is hurting every day. So we are in a terrible condition as a people, and the enemy has allowed us to make a little money and make us feel like maybe everything will be all right. Because we can pay a few bills, we pay a few car notes, we take a few trips, we buy some nice clothes and all that's good. I'm not knocking any of that. I'm just saying that those are also tools of Satan. Those are money and sex and pleasure have always been used by the enemy of God's people to put us to sleep and make us captive to the aims, goals, and desires of the enemy of God's people.
Wow. I mean, so profound. So, Minister Mike, you're on such a roll. I think some people might say we both are, but it's profound on how you have put that together to connect back to the energy spiritually of God, because that's the entity. I mean, without that, can you be truly successful? Because the other success, as you so profoundly put it, is based on the material gain, or that's been called success based on things, what you have acquired. We tell the children at the school, knowledge is power. Well, if knowledge is power, yet the adults and some of those that are so-called leaders don't articulate that knowledge. I'm talking about that organic, solid, God-centered knowledge. Do they do that, Minister Mike, in the church or the synagogue, the mosque, the cathedral, the temple, the kingdom hall, wherever? do they do that to not just keep the people sleep, but so they could always control them, where they only give them so much? Because if you wake them fully up, they could see you. What was that scripture that say, what do you see when you, it was a scripture say, I see about trees.
How do you see men? And the man said, I see them as trees. And so Jesus put a little spittle in his eye, or rubbed something in his eye, and asked him, now how do you see men? And the man said, now I see them as they are.
Ooh.
And so
Ooh.
what that, you know, that is a lot in that.
Damn.
But I was thinking about our beautiful minister, the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan, a man with, he don't have a lot of money, but he got more than most of us, right?
And give it all.
Well, that's where I'm going, is that the burden is that when you get in front of black people, if you don't have something shiny on, they dismiss you. Because in this society, white people have programmed us to believe that if you have money, you're smart. Even though those same white people have raped, robbed, and stole us from our native land. They've exploited every people on the planet to get money. They've stolen their way into enormous wealth. They've murdered their way into enormous wealth. They've lied, cheated, and gouged every taxpayer into enormous wealth, but we've been programmed to look at them as though they're smart if they have money. So people will say Trump must be a smart man because he's a billionaire. You're an idiot. But the burden is because anybody can see that Trump is an idiot. All right, he's a calculated idiot. But anyway, our leadership has that double-edged sword. So if you don't wear fine clothes in front of black people, the very black people you need to help free our people, which is the educated, skilled class, they dismiss you because you don't have on Gucci or Fiorucci or Donna Karan, whatever the thing is. You don't have that on, so they dismiss you. But if you wear too much of that, the people you trying to free, the poor man, he will look at you as though you sold out.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got so much more than he has. He doesn't understand. How can you say you're for me, but you wearing all this stuff that I can't afford?
Wow.
So it puts your leadership, and I'm thinking of Minister Farrakhan now. There are others like Lou Myers. But we have a small ilk of leadership that have been blessed with money, but have never made money their priority, have never put money over people. So what the public doesn't see is how much money Lou Myers gave away, how much of his skill set he gave away. The public doesn't see how many tens of thousands of dollars that Minister Farrakhan gives away to help people. See, people don't see that part about them. People never saw how much Lou Palmer gave away of money and himself. But they would judge Lou Palmer, especially in the latter days, because Lou got to the point where he didn't care how he looked. He would go speak to a room full of white people looking however he felt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
But the white man, he never dismissed a man like Lou Palmer, because he knew that Lou Palmer had great truth and knowledge that would come out of his mouth. But when you deal with black people, if you don't have on Air Jordans, brother,
oh boy,
if you don't have on some True Religion jeans,
yes sir,
because we've been made so brand conscious, so materialistic, that this is why when you listen to this new generation of artists, success for them is money. That's why they always on social media with a stack of money like it's a phone. They always throwing money up. Everything is about money, even though they're ignorant. They have no awareness of their blackness. And so when they run into problems where the money won't help them, like Meek Mill had a lot of money, but he still got sent to jail. So now when your money and your fame won't save you, you don't know what to do.
Wow.
So
wow.
Leadership, this is why we are calling on leaders. We have to come together. We have to create a platform where we love, nurture, support, hold each other accountable, correct, encourage, educate, inspire each other. We have to at least have a desire to be more self-sufficient. Well, how many activists and organizers or people that are over agency, if you took all the grant money away, how many of them would do what they do?
Mm-hmm. Good question.
Well, I mean, would they totally stop? How many?
Very few would keep going.
Yeah, so that's a problem, because that means I can be bought.
Have been bought.
Yeah, many of us. So we have a conundrum, and so the conundrum is who, in trying to inspire and encourage and challenge people on a basis, on a moral basis, on principle, is very, very difficult. It would be easier to get everybody in the room, G, if we was giving out grants like the MacArthur Foundation. If you could come to the New Black Leadership Coalition the same way you come to the Walmart Foundation, everybody would come in the room.
Oh, wouldn't be no
and get along. Everybody would follow the rules. Everybody would wait their turn before they speak and wouldn't cuss nobody out. And everybody would fall in line if we bought them.
Wow. And then they use this whole bag mentality.
That's right.
This whole, but yet underneath that, as you just said, there's no morality.
Mm-hmm.
Underneath that is no character.
Right.
Underneath that, really, they don't have a foundation. It's quick schemes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, go and get some money, go buy you a big car. A car costs 200 and some thousand or close to that. Go and buy you.
Go to all the galas.
Yeah, go to all the galas. Buy tables for everybody. And that's it. And you feel accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
But I think deep down inside, so they cut their consciousness off? I mean, they numb so they don't feel any pain?
Well, they're not that conscious to begin with.
Oh, boy.
See, some of us see social activism from an assimilationist point of view. We see it just like we see being in the Red Cross or the Salvation Army.
No, Mike.
We don't understand that the condition of Black people is a unique condition, and that we've leapfrogged over a critical step in our liberation, which is our coming together and reclaiming our Black consciousness. Before we try to assimilate or move into the broader society, we've never concretized ourselves as a people. So we have a lot of brilliant Black people who love Black people, but they love other people as much as they love Black people, which I'm not saying is anything wrong with loving humanity. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that you have to love yourself first and foremost. It's not natural. I can't really love you properly if I don't love me properly.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if I love you more than I love me, then you now have power to abuse me. And that's what happens to the Black community every day. We give all of our talent, all of our intelligence, all of our wealth, all of our property, all of our resources. We give it right back to the people who put us in a bad condition to begin with.
How much time do we have left, brother? Hey, I want to go and listen to this one myself. Hey, look, I love you all for tuning in. Please share this show. Trust me, if you love your people and if you love God, you will share this conversation because it is absolutely medicine, therapy. It's a remedy. It's a start to, being where we need to be to get to where we should be going. But anyway, thank you, Minister Mike.
Thank you, Gregory.
Thank you, New Black Leadership Coalition. Thank you, Brother Earl, one of the best producers on the planet. And thank you all for tuning in to the New Black Leadership Coalition. Peace and love.